Hello there, and thank you for joining me for today's presentation. I'm Steve Tompkins with Criterion HCM. Today, I will be discussing the employee data and timesheets integration between Criterion HCM and Sage Intacct. Let's get started. So I've gone ahead and I've logged into Criterion as an employee who is going to be updating her information as well as doing her timesheet. So you'll see Elaine Newman here on screen, and I'm going to go ahead and update my demographics. However, I do want to show that if I go over to the demographics on Intacct, when I refresh, I'll see that new employee here. There's Elaine, and of course I can click into her record and see her information that's on here. You'll see things like her name, social, employee ID. When I go over to contacts, I can click on her name and I can see the information that's related to her right here. However, what Elaine has noticed is there's some incorrect and or missing information on her record. So she's going to go ahead and update that in Criterion on her demographic screen. So I've switched back over to Criterion. This is in SelfService where the employee can edit this information. This is also available to administrators through the back end where they can edit information. So here you can see I've got an option here to update my demographics. And I can go through and I can make corrections. I can add missing information. And this information, if it's tied over to Intacct, is going to update in real time over to Intacct as soon as this is updated. So as I put in this information here, let me just quickly fill in some things here and put a phone number in here. And I will go ahead and submit this for approval. Now, for ease of demonstrating, what I've done is I've not required any type of approval on here. So when I submit this change, it's going to immediately be approved. However, a workflow could be enabled that would require somebody, perhaps an HR administrator, to approve a change before it is updated into Intacct. But as soon as that's approved, when I go over to Intacct, and let me go ahead and just refresh this screen here, you'll notice a few things have changed. So first off, her name has been corrected there. Birthday's filled in here. When I go into her contact information, you're going to see things like right there. There's the phone number, the middle name, etc. All that information is updated. So all that stuff comes on over automatically as soon as it's approved in there. And that works also for a new hire. If I hired a new person, they're going to be added in here automatically. A termination, it's going to update that information. So the status would change, the end date, termination type, all that information would update automatically. Now let's look at timesheets. So first off, I'm going to go ahead and look at my staff timesheets here in Sage Intacct. And you can see the last one here is Kevin Brown back from the beginning of August. So I can see that in here. But let's go over to SelfService here in Criterion. And we're going to do the timesheet for Elaine for last week. So she's going to go to her timesheets and we're going to click on the one for the pay period that ended on the 20th. There we go. And you can see she's got some hours in here against various projects and the other information that's updated on this particular timesheet here. Now, what she sees in these drop-down menus, those items are updated from Intacct. So a new project gets added to Intacct, we're going to see the new project here. Now, what we can do is limit what the employees could see. If I were to go to Intacct, I probably have 20 or 30 projects set up. I've limited it so she can only see these 3 projects. And the same type of thing can happen with customer, location, item, task. If you have other dimensions, those things can be tied over to Intacct so the employee can see what they are allowed to see and track time appropriately. So you can see here, she needs to complete her time entry for Friday. She only has 4 hours there. So I'll go ahead and add an entry in here for the Criterion project, and I'll choose a customer here and location and an item. And I'll put in some time. Now, I could have used a start and stop timer. The employee could start a timer, perhaps at the beginning of their day, track time against a particular project in these various dimensions here, transfer between different projects and dimensions. And then at the end of the day, they clock out and it will track all this information, just like I'm entering in these total hours. But for ease of use, I've made it total hours right here. Go ahead and save my change here. The employee would probably review their timesheet here, make sure that everything looks correct. You can see she's got 40 hours now for this week. Of course, if she had overtime, we'd have that information here as well. But I'll go ahead and submit this timesheet. Now, just like with a demographics approval, what's going to happen is normally there would be somebody to approve a timesheet, perhaps a manager or something like that. For this demonstration purpose, I've made it so it automatically gets approved when it's submitted, so that I can show you when I go over to the timesheets here. You'll notice there's Kevin's timesheet I mentioned before, but when I refresh, I'll see Elaine's timesheet here for that period. And I can go ahead and view this over here. You notice that this date is approved because we approved it over in Criterion. It's already coming here approved. There are the various projects and items, departments, locations, etc., that you saw over on the timesheets in Criterion. So all that information comes over automatically as we approve those timesheets. And of course, those approvals can be done one at a time. As a manager gets to it, they might do a bulk approve, and it's going to post that information over here automatically. So then you can do whatever you need to do over in Intacct with that time. All right, so thank you for joining me today and watching this quick demonstration on the employee information and timesheet integration into Sage Intacct. For more information, please visit our website at criterionhcm.com. Thank you very much.